Welcome to a live webinar hosted by the American Bar Association's Legal Technology Resource Center. Our guest speaker today is Ron Collins, President and Founder of Amicus Attorney. In today's webinar, Ron will explain the benefits and opportunities offered by practice management software, from improving client communications to capturing additional billable hours. Welcome, Ron.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Very happy to be here. So, Josh and ABA have asked me to present in half an hour an introduction to practice management software. This is a challenge. There's a lot involved. What I'm going to try and do is take you through what it is from a point of view of why should you bother. Like, the question for you here today is, what's in it for me? Is it worth the time and trouble, or is it just a bunch of buzz? So I'm not going to try and explain to you everything it does. I'm certainly not here to try and teach you how to use practice management software, but rather I'm going to approach today from the perspective of what is it and why is it a benefit to my law practice. So that's my first slide. Why practice management software? Some of you may be familiar with some of the marketing we at Amicus Attorney have done. You may have seen our slogan, do more, bill more, go home early. I apologize for repeating a slogan, but it is the tightest, most concise way I can come up with of expressing to you why practice management software, because bluntly, you will be able to do more. You will be able to bill more. And it's your choice whether you go home early or bill even more after that. So I'm going to then take you through just a series of benefits, and then I'm going to take you to some different practice management software applications and illustrate how you can achieve those benefits or the approaches taken to deliver them to you. First and foremost, a better organized practice. And we all value organization. We all know it's important. We all know it helps us do more. Sometimes getting better organized is one of those things on our to-do list that we never quite reach. Practice management software can help you get better organized without the pain of organizing yourself. Greater efficiencies in teamwork. There are so many efficiencies in running a law firm, whether you're a sole practitioner working completely on your own with no support staff whatsoever, or whether you're in a mid-sized firm, a small firm. Any size of firm is going to find efficiencies in practice management software. And teamwork, the ability to collaborate, work together, share information. You get so much more out of that with practice management software. Here's the bill more part. You capture more billable time from existing work. Fundamentally, every user of practice management software I've spoken to who bills for their time, whether they're using our software or somebody else's, tells me it helps them bill more. Improved client service and business development. Never overlook this aspect, because if you don't have great client service and you don't keep bringing in new clients, doesn't matter how great a lawyer you are. And practice management software can help. Bill and collect more easily. At the end of the day, being a great lawyer is not so great unless you get paid for it. None of us like billing or collections, so a tool that makes that easier is a great help. Last, or almost last but not least, you have more time for the important things in life. The last part is you sleep better at night. Not because this is some form of sleeping remedy, but because you know you're under control, your practice is under control, you've got lower risk of malpractice issues, you can sleep better at night. All right, so that's everything. Really, that's what I'm going to talk about for the next half hour. I'm now going to break down those subject headings and have a look at how practice management software does what I say right there. So let's start with getting better organized. Getting better organized begins in a law practice with client matter management, because the client matter is the fundamental building block of your practice. Well, we're all very busy and do many different kinds of things. We do legal research, we go to court, we attend meetings, closings, we do all sorts of valuable legal work in the drafting of documents and everything else. We have schedules, we have contacts, everything. And there are many tools for those kinds of things. The building block, the way we organize our law practices, is the client matter. For each client who retains us to accomplish something legal on their behalf, we open a client matter file and we store information in the paper world in that big Redwell folder where we put the pieces of paper, our notes, our documents, communications with the clients, business cards, everything else. And we organize ourselves by that. When we go to court or when we go to a meeting, it's not just a meeting with a real estate adjuster. It's a meeting with the real estate adjuster on the Richter purchase matter, because we have many such meetings and we organize ourselves by those matters. So that's something fundamental about practice management software, that it understands and it helps you with and it organizes you by. So let's go to Amicus Attorney. And here, to get started, this is our product, the premium edition of Amicus Attorney, and this is the office in Amicus Attorney. Before I get into that organization, I just want to help orient you. Yes, this is my office right here. And in each view of Amicus or other practice management softwares, you have a way to navigate. In Amicus's case, it's with tabs down here. And from this, you can get a sense right away of what's involved. There are files, there's a calendar, there's task management, there's people or contact management, timesheets, notes, communications, documents, and a library. So most of the fundamental elements of the professional side of your practice are here. You'll notice as well at the top that there's a toggle to go to the billing or business side of your practice. We'll have a look at that in a few minutes, but that's another aspect to understand about practice management. It's not just about organizing your client work. It's about organizing and getting paid for that work as well. All right, so we said the client matter was the fundamental building block of your practice, and that one of the huge benefits of practice management is that it organizes that for you. So here is your list of files, and we can open any file just by double-clicking on it. And on your screen appears the client matter file. In the Amicus case, it actually looks a bit like a file folder, because that helps you understand how the information is organized and where to look for it. So right now, perhaps you commonly would staple in a client's business card or the business cards of other people you deal with on a transaction into the inside of a file folder. Well, you do the same thing in Amicus. There's the business card. There's a list of people up here. Whoever you select, their business card is here, and their role on the file appears down below. Of course, it's a magic business card because you're on a computer, so you can write a letter to them just by clicking here. You can do a envelope to them there, make a phone call, fax, email. So it's an interactive, dynamic business card, but it's all there. And over on this side, here's where you keep track of all the different client information. I can just click on the clip up there, and all of the different elements comes here, or I can click over here and go see what I want to. So for example, if I want to see my notes on the Widgetco matter, I click my notes, and here are a couple of notes I've made about this particular share transaction that I'm working on. Or I can see all file notes, and now I get an extra column, and I see the initials. My initials are HG. You can see EW and SS are my colleagues in the firm who are working with me, and they've made some notes about the matter too. And there's one of the other fundamental important elements of practice management, is it's not just about you. It's about everybody in your firm who's working with you on each case or transaction, so that you can collaborate, share information, and be up to date with each other without having to go, running into their office to find out what they did on this one because the client's on the phone. All sorts of different elements are here. So, for instance, here's all of my events. Here's everything that I've got going on in the future on the Widgetco share transaction. So you can see I've been drafting subscription agreements. There's a closing coming up in August, and other such things. Those, of course, all appear in my calendar as well as here on the file, but I need to organize myself by client matter file. If I click on all file events, once again, we get this extra column that shows the initials of who's involved, so you can organize across different people in your firm as well as yourself. I can see time spent being all of the billable time that I'm putting in on this matter. Communications, this one's great because I can see here all of the communications I have on a client matter file, my emails, phone calls, phone messages, and so on, or again, all communications by anyone on the file, so that I don't need to be endlessly CC'd and be CC'd by other people in my firm. I can see the last time somebody had a phone call with the client if they're working with me on this. Documents on the file are right here, as is in legal research chronology, and a variety of custom information as well. So pretty nearly everything I do from a professional aspect is here on the file, as is the billing. So you'll see at the top there, I clicked on the billing toggle, and it flipped the view. We're still looking at the widget co matter, but now we're looking at all the billing transactions that have gone on in this case with a little summary down at the bottom about how much unposted and posted time is there, how much work in progress does that time represent, how much have I already billed, have I done any write-ups or write-downs, how much the client has paid, and how much the client still owes me. The client still owes me $2,500. I can see that all in one view, or I could break it down to just see time or expenses or their bills right here. So here I can see, for example, that they paid their May 22nd bill, and I can expand that and see the bill and the payment. But this other bill is only partially paid, and so on. So you can break it down. You can do trust transactions, retainers, everything else, all in the client matter file as well. So that's organizing it in a product like Amicus Attorney, which is a very full-featured, powerful program. We could switch to something much simpler. So now I'm running Outlook. Here in Microsoft Outlook, it looks like your Outlook with a couple of important distinctions in that this has now got an add-in called Credenza running it as well. Credenza is a very lightweight but efficient practice management software. And you can see besides your usual Outlook tabs or navigation items down here, your calendar, contacts, and tasks, we also have files, phone calls, time and expenses, and billing. So if I click on Files, I get a list of all my client matter files, just like I did in Amicus Attorney. And I can open a client. Here we're going to open the Bailey Reed Kipling matter. And you can see it's collected that information for me together here as well. Now, this isn't as powerful or comprehensive as Amicus Attorney, but all the basics are here. Here I can see all the emails to or from Janet Bailey, my client on this matter, phone calls I've had with her, any appointments that are in my Outlook calendar, tasks, time and expenses, billing and trust, and documents, all right inside of Outlook as well. So very powerful ability to organize your client matter files. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint because I'm sure we all want to go talk about the PowerPoint. Oh, one other important element there is that there's security involved in practice management software. So when I showed you all of those different things that can be seen in the client file, if there are people in your office who you don't want to have see selected pieces of that information, no problem. You can screen it out. All right. Better organized as well means that you have legal calendaring. I was just showing you Outlook, and a lot of people rely on Outlook for their calendaring and contacts, and they think, well, that's really all I need to be organized, isn't it? I don't think so, and I don't think so because you're a lawyer. Let's go back to Amicus and have a look at the calendar. So here I am in a calendar. You can see I've got a list of tasks to do today, and I've got, nothing scheduled for today. That's a pretty nice day. Let's just put in an appointment. As you can see, it doesn't really get any easier than that. You can just drag an appointment around wherever you want it. But when I open it up, I can see some extra details about this appointment. Let's just make this a motion. I'm a litigator, so that's where I'm comfortable talking about. But of course, you could be corporate, transactional, real estate, or whatever other kind of lawyer. There are many different things I could set about this appointment, from warnings, reminders, notes. I can even associate documents and emails with it so that when the appointment comes up, any emails that were done to set it up and everything are all there. But let's look at this little feature that as a lawyer you'll be very interested in. Show adjournments. All right, what does that mean? Well, we all know in the practice of law, particularly litigators, that you've got a motion on for this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon, and the other side phones up and they're going to file a new affidavit and you need to cross-examine, and it's going to be adjourned. So we're just going to drag that over to August 2nd and to the reasons for adjournment. It won't, once that box is checked, it won't let you adjourn it without entering reasons. Now notice what else happened. Here on July 25th, we still have that appointment, and it tells us that it was adjourned to a given date. So when you're looking at your calendar and trying to reconstruct when things were on, or you're looking at the particular client file that this relates to, you can see each time that motion was scheduled and when it was adjourned to. So there it is now on August 2nd. With everything else, we'll drag it to another date because now they don't want to put it off until September. Okay, September 5th, we'll put in some more reasons, and off it's gone. Again, now you can see it's been adjourned to September 6th. I'll go to September 6th, open its details, and you'll see that we have all of the information relating to that right here in the file. So that's one aspect of the calendaring. Other aspects, like for instance, let's go back to our to-do list here. Well, we had a limitation period expiring today. We have a cross-examination today. So deadlines are marked in plain English, due today. Here's one that's due August 12th, so it's counting down for me how many days left to do it. Procrastination is one of the sins of most lawyers. Missing deadlines is one of the most common causes of malpractice claims. Very hard to do in practice management software. Anything you don't get done today will be carried forward to your list for other days, right down to 136th day on list. It'll keep nagging you forever. When you mark something done, you get a time entry. Now, this is a preference. If you don't bill for your time, I envy you. But most of us do, and automatically when I mark that done, all I have to fill in is how long did I spend working on that cross-examination, and that's gone on my timesheet for the day. Notice as well that the file names are hyperlinked, so if I'm looking at a task and wondering what I've got to do about it, I can click on it and go look at that task. Or there's a button here. Do you see this button that says Do? Wherever you see that in Amicus Attorney, you can click Do, and Amicus Attorney will help you do it. Here's another example of the power of practice management is that you need to have a task, reminder to do a phone call. It helps you record the call. For most calls to clients, we want to be making notes because actually the number one cause of malpractice claims is failing to communicate with your client and failing to make notes about what you said to your client, what their instructions were, and what advice you gave them. That's the number one reason for malpractice claims, and so, of course, you want to take those notes. So when you click the Do button in Amicus Attorney, from a reminder to call your client, it makes the notes for you. I mean, there it is, who you called, everything else. The only thing it doesn't know is what you're saying. But while you're typing that, the client says, but Ron, last week you told me something different, or your junior told me something different. Wait a minute, am I stuck? Not at all, because you can see over here the call history button. I click that, and I can instantly bring up all my previous calls with this person. Or I can see all calls on this file. So no matter who was dealing with this client or other calls about the file, they're right here. I can bring up their details and deal with it appropriately. So their practice management software is being of a help to me. It's allowing me to deliver better client service. And at the end, I'm reminded to do a time entry, so I billed for the time, and I'm done. So in terms of legal calendaring and task management, we're much more efficient. We can also do things like calculate dates for deadlines. You can link events. So if you always, for example, want to report to your client the day after a motion, you link those two together. In that example where my motion got adjourned 3 times, every time that got adjourned, all related events would be adjourned with it, including valuable things like reporting to the client. We spoke a bit about the task management. Let's go on and talk about other ways in which you're organized by practice management software. You get full document management, communication management, contact management, and knowledge management all in it. So for example, here's my documents. Fully indexed documents. I can go in here and say, find me anything relating to Smith, and that fast has gone through all documents that I have access to in my firm, and it's found too. Well, here, look, director's resolution. Well, what's this? We'll just view that document. It will launch Microsoft Word, and open for me the document. And as you can see, James Smith is on the board of directors of Widgetco. So I can find anything and everything I need to relating to my documents. Communications management, also very powerful, because during the course of a day, we send and receive so many emails. We have lots of phone calls, notes about phone calls. We get messages, either voicemails or from our secretary or the receptionist. Having one place where you can go and find it all is really important. And practice management does that here in Amicus Attorney. I'm in my communications center. I can see an email I got from Ann Neighbor. Let's talk about that for a second. You're probably using Outlook right now. Most of us do. Outlook is a terrific program, but it's not practice management. So Amicus Attorney is dynamically integrated with Outlook. In fact, there's even an option to have Outlook appear inside of Amicus. So every email you send or receive in Outlook will automatically appear in Amicus Attorney. And that applies if you send or receive that email on your smartphone that was linked to Outlook as well. It appears here in Amicus, and Amicus will, as you teach it as you go along, also automatically assign it to the right client file. What that then lets you do is, you see wherever you see that little blue icon there, wherever that happens, Amicus is reminding you haven't done a time entry for it. Emails are one of the primary culprits for not doing time entries and losing billable time. So at the end of the day, you can just go to your communication center, see everybody you've got to get back to, which is important, and everybody that you didn't bill for doing their work. So with one click, I get a bill on that communication as well. We talked about documents. We also have people management or contact management, depending on how you want to describe it. Everything about the people in your practice is right here. And that ranges from conflict of interest searching to business development and related tasks. And lastly, knowledge management, which is really important too. As you do legal research, you can store it here in the Amicus Attorney Library and build intellectual capital on the work you're doing so that you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel for other clients. So that was all about organization, and I've only got about 10 minutes left. So if I've been speaking fast before, I'm going to have to speed up. Another important benefit to practice management is that you get greater efficiencies. The information at your fingertips, you saw, for example, when I clicked the Do button, and I had at my fingertips previous information about that client file. A magic notepad is that you can just scribble down information in any free-form manner you want and convert it to the organization system you want. We mentioned linked events. You saw one document come up. We can automatically generate other documents. So if you have standard form documents, whether it's a retainer or other such things, they can be generated for you. The Do button, precedents. Any series of steps you do on a typical transaction, you can just go to the client file, select the steps you could say, I want to do that every time, hit save, and then the next time you have a similar case, the same steps will be scheduled for you so that it saves work, it reuses your organization. Organize yourself once, and then it gets reused every time. That's efficiency. Standardized file intake is just something I want to show you. Let's just go to files here and say, I'm going to do a new file. Says it file currently selected? No, I'm just going to invent somebody. So we'll call it new file, and the primary client is Clark Admiral, and it's going to be a civil litigation file. Now watch what happens. I clicked next, and it says, whoa, your civil litigation file, let's collect some information. It's a personal injury matter. I could fill in all these fields about amount claimed, court action number, and so on. Every type of file it is will change. What you see here to do next will change depending on the type of file it is. Save and open, it will open the file, but it's also going to do something else. It's going to recommend some simple things like applying a precedent. So remember how I said you could reuse steps from previous files and call them precedents? I could do that here. Generate a document. So I'll generate a document to the client asking for a retainer. It loaded Word, and in just a second, it's done. A letter to the client on the new file, giving them the file number, asking for a retainer, everything else. That fast, I've done some key practice management. And can I save it yet? No. Why not? Because I haven't done a conflict check, which is also in the top 5 reasons for malpractice claims. Check my conflicts. Look at this. When I go to check my conflicts, if I click advanced search, I can do things like search the bodies of all previous emails to see if anything comes up from Clark Admiral. And there it is. Notice I had a phone call, a couple of emails, and there's a contact. I can review that information. I can print that off as a report to go on my client file. And now I've got the file. All right. Improved teamwork is another really key benefit. You got the common information that we saw. You have changes. Any changes to any information will all go instantly to everybody involved in it. Your assistants, because you're networked and sharing information, they can help you perform tasks. You can delegate tasks to colleagues in your firm and monitor their progress. Phone messages, simple thing, but really important to see when you got a message, when it was returned, save it on a client file. Sticky notes, they're like a messenger thing within your practice management so that you can send people notes back and forth. You can even have a system for tracking who's available, who's out to lunch. Let's talk next about better client service. When your client calls, how many times does it happen that your head's down working on some other client's matter and you just aren't thinking about the matter where the client's called? To them, it's the most important thing in their life right now. To you, it's important, but it's not what you are doing right now. You don't want to start by stumbling and making small talk and looking for the file so that you can get up to speed. With practice management, you click on their name, and it's right there, and you're delivering better service. You can know when the client, if you've quoted to your client that a given matter is going to cost $10,000, $15,000 or whatever, Amicus will automatically tell you if your work in progress plus previous billings is in danger of exceeding that quote. We all know the problems involved if you go over the quote and then try and send a higher bill to your client. I guess nothing falling between the cracks has to be one of the most important benefits, that confidence that it's all there and you're on top of it all. Reminders to report to your client, again, that's the second most, after failing to record your client communications and instructions, the second most common cause of malpractice claims is failing to report to your client. Well, you can get automatic reminders for every step you do to report to your client. And then collecting on your bills is made so much easier if you bill them promptly after the work is done. And again, practice management will automate that for you. So after you've been good to your client, and being good to your existing clients is the most important form of business development, practice management can help you with more things as well. For instance, it can know when you were last in touch with each of your clients and give you automatic reminders to keep in touch with them at whatever interval you want. You can know who's referring your work and what it's worth. Let's just very quickly look at that. So let's go to the contacts module of, okay, we checked conflicts. Thank you. Close that. It won't let me out without checking conflicts. Let's go to our people module, and let's say, for instance, Gary Drysdale is a banker I deal with, and he refers me a lot of work. So here's his contact card. I can go to the referrals section of this, and here's each of the files Gary has referred to me, and the total fees I've generated from the work Gary's sent to me. $52,000 in all. I think it's time to take Gary to lunch. Once you're getting reminders about that, you can also set Amicus Attorney up so that automatically, say you want to make sure while you're busy doing all your client work that you're bringing in new work. If you haven't opened a new file in the last 3 weeks, Amicus will pop up in the morning and say, are you doing your business development? There's been no new files in the past 3 weeks. To help you with that, it will do client mailings, prospecting activities, and other such things. Automatic time entries, we saw that from marking a task done, but let's have another look at a more efficient way still. We can at any time go to our timesheets and click on this button here for Time Entry Assistant. And that fast, what it's done is gone through the past day of all my practice, and it's told me these 3 emails and this task I did not do a time entry for. If you want to go back a little bit more, for the past 3 days, I've got a whole bunch of emails, phone calls, and other such things. So that quickly, I can discover there was an email I didn't do a time entry for. I'll just do one. Okay. Or if I prefer, I can select a mass of them at once, click Time Saver. It's going to combine some, and they're that fast. I just billed for 5 items I'd forgotten to bill. Each, in my case, at point 2, I just recorded a billable hour that I forgot to do yesterday. A billable hour with 2 clicks. And it's not that I didn't do the work or deliver client value. It's just that I was so busy, I forgot, mostly emails and phone calls. I forgot to do it. And I don't know about your billable rate, but in my case, a billable hour in one day adds up to a lot of benefit. I am conscious that I am really just about out of the amount of time I'm allocated here, so I'm going to probably stick more to the slides for now. Billing and collecting more easily is really important too. One of the great benefits there is not having separate systems. You know, if you've got a bunch of stuff in Outlook and a bunch of stuff in QuickBooks, and you're entering the same client information in one place and another, and their phone number changes or whatever else, you can get into misinformation. When you have one system, both Amicus Attorney and Credenza Qualified, that share all of the information, you put it in one place, it's all available to either. Whip at a glance, oh, I can't resist showing you this. I just can't resist. So we'll go to our files, and here is the professional view of a files list that we were talking about. Let me flip this toggle I've talked about. There's the billing view. Same file list, same core information, but now look what I'm seeing. For each client file, I'm seeing any unposted fees, work in progress fees, expenses, accounts receivable, anything I've got in retainer or trust for each client. I can see its age, I can see totals, I can bill for it with one click. And that's really valuable. I've also got a collections assistant, which works just like that time entry assistant we saw. With one click, it's going to tell me every bill that's over a certain age and help me bill for it, or help me automatically send an email to the client, gently reminding them that it's over 30 days, 60 days, whatever my threshold is, and it would be nice if they'd pay soon. Finally, I think you need to think of practice management software as an assistant. No matter how big or small your practice, we could all use a little extra help, and that's what practice management software is for you. It's proactive, it looks at your practice, and it does things for you. So for instance, here we're in the billing side of our practice. Let's go up here. Here we have daily practice reminders, and this is actually the first thing that I see when I come in the morning. I see a reminder about things like I've got some old to-do items. I have some deadlines. Here's one of those warnings about having spent more time on a client file than I'd promised a client I'd spend, so it's warning me about it. I have some time entries. I had one or more appointments yesterday for which I did not do a time entry, and so on. Or I could go to the billing reminders and see that, for instance, I've got 4 files where total work in progress exceeds the file threshold. I've got bills ready to send, and so on. I've got some files that haven't been billed in the amount of time that they should have been billed in. Last, but certainly not least, you can add all of this up and say, my malpractice insurance is going to be lower. And in fact, most malpractice insurers will give you a reduction for using practice management software. And that reduction will probably pay for it all on its own, as will, for instance, that time entry assistant on its own. But these, in order, are, in fact, at least the top 4, the most common causes of malpractice. You have better tracking of client communications, reporting, deadlines, conflicts, file activity warnings. If there's been no work on a given file over a given period of time, Amicus will just come up and say, hey, you haven't worked on Widgetco in the past month. Is everything okay? You're on top of your practice, and that fundamentally is what it's all about. There are different kinds of practice management software. I've kind of organized them into 3 buckets. There's full, really, really full, powerful practice management that does the most for you. And the example I've been using is Amicus Attorney. There's light, which is Credenza. Credenza is so light, you can go to credenzasoft.com and download it for free. For the single user version, it's free. You can't get less expensive than that. It's not going to do for you what Amicus will, but it will give you a great taste of what practice management software can do, and you can move on from there. There's cloud. You hear a lot about cloud these days. Cloud has both some great strengths and some things that it can't do. So that's another possibility out there. And there is an Amicus Attorney Cloud Edition coming out very soon. So finally, I was asked to give you some tips on how you work with all of this. I think the first thing is you find something that works for you. We're not all the same. We don't practice law the same. We have different likes and dislikes. It needs to be easy for you. Whatever you are like, it needs to be easy. It needs to have natural workflow for you. And I've said there, it's not what it can do. You've got to be really careful about marketing checklists because there's dozens of vendors out there, like ourselves. We've all got checklists that say we can do A, B, C, D, E, and F. Great, but can you do those things with it? Only you can decide that. So if you're looking at practice management software, get a free demo, an eval copy or whatever, get a demo from a salesperson or whatever, but make sure that it's something you could use, because if you're not going to use it, you're wasting your money. But speaking of money, that is another important thing to think about. Does this software cost? Of course it does. Developers put a lot of money into creating it, but is that an expense to you or is it an investment? If you think about some of the things I've shown you here this afternoon, like, well, the lower insurance costs, but like you saw how quickly I billed an hour for work I did yesterday that I'd forgotten to bill for and would have lost if it weren't for my practice management software. I don't know what your billable rate is, but at mine, billing an hour a day, heck, an hour a week, practice management software is going to pay for itself forever in 2 weeks of use. Last but not least, I don't know what size firms the various people listening to this are today, but any size firm can benefit. If you're a sole practitioner, this is just invaluable. This gets rid of all that administrivia that's getting in the way that bigger firms can hire people to do, and you've got to do it all yourself. This is so incredibly valuable. And if you are a bigger firm, this just streamlines and leverages the investment you've made in your people and helps you get on with practicing law, which, after all, is what we all enjoy to do more.
Thanks, Ron. I think that was a good view on how practice management software can help improve the organization at law firms, optimizing workflows and hopefully increasing profits. I hope the audience has found this informative and useful. Please note that we will be archiving this session online, both at the ABA Legal Technology Resource Center's website and at the Amicus Attorney website. Thanks again for attending, and please stay tuned for upcoming webinars. Have a great day.